me chillin' and you will hear about the eliminating of the negative and an accent on a positive.
Gather round me, children, if you're willing, and sit tight while I start reviewing.
Test.
Attitude of
Is this thing on? Oh, yes, it is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, The Joyful Frugalista. And now here's your host, Serina Bird and friends.
Hello, Frugalistas, and welcome. Today, I'm speaking with Sandie Parks, who's owner of The Green Shed. Now, for people who live in Canberra, I don't even need to explain what The Green Shed is. It's kind of like an Aladdin's cave for frugalistas, or at least that's what it is. When I go in there, I think my eyes light up with all the possibilities. And if you speak to nearly anyone in Canberra, usually they've got a story about something amazing that they've found at the Green Shed. And in fact, recording this, I'm wearing a cardigan that I got for free from the Green Shed. And we'll talk a bit later about fast fashion. Hello, Sandie, and welcome.
Hello, Serina. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Firstly, what is the Green Shed?
Well, the Green Shed is a place that's started off at the TIPS. We're not allowed to call them TIPS anymore. They're called the Resource Management Centre.
No to TIPS.
I always call it a TIP still. It's a reuse facility. People throwing things out bring their reusables to us and we collect them, sell them to the public, and basically keep all that stuff out of landfill. I always say, after what you said at the beginning, that you can find everything in our shops. That is in every shop in the world, and many things that are no longer in any shop in the world. We basically deal in everything. We never know what's coming in the door next.
I never know what I'm going to find. I mean, I found a good quality bicycle for my youngest son once. Well, actually, correction, he found it. He walked up to it and he said, "This is mine." And I went, "Oh, we don't need a new bike." But actually we did, and it was great.
Well, we get a lot of people come through, like your little fellow, get a bike, grow out of it, bring it back, get another one, grow out of it. They come again and again. It happens often. And I didn't mention, as well as the two tip shops, we've got two shops in the centre of the city. One of them selling much nicer things, like little antique collectible sort of things. And the other one mainly selling clothes and things that we have far too much of, which is like clothes, books and electrical items.
I love both of those shops, I must say, and I really love how accessible they are. I love the vintage one, and it is just beautiful, some of those things that have been crafted with love and crafted with care. In fact, I got a unique birthday present for a chef from there recently. I was looking for some quirky cooking things and found some unusual, we think they're cookie trays, just an unusual shape, so you never know what you'll find. And the underground one, I must say, that is just like mind-boggling, the amount of things that are in there.
I think it's my favourite, although I can't really decide. Whenever I walk in there, I just sort of, it takes my breath away because it's just so fantastic. And it's just the sort of shop that I would have loved when I was younger. I would have spent all my time there.
And not too much money. It's quite affordable. But I went there not long before we were married. So we were married in September 2018. And I went there with a girlfriend who doesn't really like secondhand shopping, to be honest, but she's quite a fashionista. She Instagrams at Simply Cheeky here in Canberra. Her name's Erna Glassford. Very, very fashionable, petite lady. And we went to the underground and we were shopping and she saw this dress behind the counter and she went, "Oh my God, it's Ted Baker." And I went, "Ted who?" I should know better. And she's like, "You need that dress." And I went, no, I've got a dress. And she's like, no, you need that and you need to wear that before your wedding. And I went, "Oh, okay. So I went and tried it on and it was beautiful. So retail knew it was about $1,000, I think.
Wow.
Which I paid much less for that there. I wish I still had that dress. However, when I wore that at the pre-dinner meal that we had with the family, one of my cousins insisted that that was now hers because she wanted it.
Oh, well.
So it's been regifted on with love. I'd like to ask a little bit about some of the strangest, almost unique things that you've been gifted. And you've even got a basket here with some things.
Yes, this basket is just things that we keep in our office. Whenever we go and do talks and things, we bring out stuff and have a little display of unusual things that come through. Not in the basket, and off the top of my head, we've had grand pianos and Well, we've had over a ton, maybe 2 ton of Lego given to us in all those years. We've been going for about 10 years, and over that time we've been given many, many things. The things that spring to mind, we've had a couple of grand pianos.
Grand pianos.
Yes. We decided not to sell them, actually, because we figured no one would buy them because they're so big. Both times we had a competition, and people won the piano. Someone won one for their school, and someone won one for their theatre troupe, I think.
How amazing. So the gift just keeps giving on in the community.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. We have these little fun things that we do with the community to kind of engage them. We get a lot of stock coming through, and so it affords us a lot of opportunity. Yeah, so as far as unusual things, the grand pianos, we've had Michael Milton's leg. We usually have that as part of our display too. Michael Milton won 6 gold medals at Paralympics, lives in Canberra. Just came past one day, gave us his leg. Charlie said, "You're famous." He goes, "I used to be." We figured, we wouldn't be able to sell it, so we walk around and show it to people. And it's always interesting, actually. You don't get a chance to see an athlete's leg.
Is it a high-tech leg? Is it
very high-tech. $1 million
man sort of?
Yeah, it looks like that to me. I'm sure Michael would say, no, it's just my spare or something, but it looks pretty cool.
Wow.
Yes. We could look in the basket.
Oh, I'd love to look at the basket. I've been sort of eyeing that basket off, I must say.
Yeah, I can't remember what's in this box, but it rattles. Let's have a look. Oh, look at these little things. They're like little geisha dolls. And there are 12 of them in different
So they're in sort of like test tube kind of glass capsules, and they are just gorgeous.
They look like they're made of noodles.
They are.
Do you have pictures?
I will take some pictures.
Okay, this is rather cute. It's like a louver, like a bird feather fan. I know this is from South America, but I don't know a lot more about it.
Someone would have gone into a lot of trouble getting that through customs to bring it into the country. It looks like it's made from leather and feathers. And
it looks like a loofah.
A loofah?
Mm.
Wow, it's so colourful. It's blue and it's red and...
Yeah. We don't only get like new things. This is one of the oldest things we've found. It's an oil-burning lamp from ancient Greece.
Wow. It's almost biblical, really.
Yeah, pre-biblical.
Pre-biblical.
Yeah, there's a classics museum at the ANU. I took it in, but the expert was away. But they did tell me it was Greek. I'm going to take it back and see if she can give us more details about it. But the museum's full of them, actually. So, yeah, we get lots of different bits and bobs. Should we continue going through those? You can always cut some out.
There's a doll there that looks fascinating.
Yes, we get a huge amount of dolls coming through. Now, this one is an Hushabye doll. You can see they've always got their names on the back.
And made in Australia. It's got an Australia map on the back as well.
That's right, yeah. So these are, fairly unique, I'd say. She's got the usual horrendous face of the ancient doll with the really creepy eyes, but not too bad. An original dress. They're just lovely, really, and quite often they come in broken, and this little person is not broken at all.
And I must say, those creepy eyes are moving as you move her around.
This is something that everybody loves. Back in the day when we didn't have calculators and at school you had your Cuisinart rods.
I remember those. I used to use those when I think I was in grade 2 or 3.
Yes.
And I actually found them a little bit confusing, to be honest. I know most people love them and have great memories, but I found them a bit confusing. Did you use those, Neil? Neil's like...
Not at
no,
all.
He's shaking his head. It wasn't his thing.
Quite often I bring up these and people go, Cuisinart rods. They know the name and they love them. They remember playing with them at preschool.
Yeah, it was a really good way to do basic maths. You could really visualise how the different colours all stack together.
That's right. And this is a good set because it looks complete.
It does.
Usually it's been, knocked out of its box and you don't get everything there. Here we've got a letter. We get a lot of letters and pictures and people's personal documentation, from families that have died or families that are no longer even in existence. There are a lot of emotional letters to each other and stories being told, but they're not worth any money, but they've got a lot of social value. This one came through about a year ago, and it's a letter written from the trenches to a mother of a man that has just been shot. It's really fantastic to read, it's very moving.
It looks beautiful.
It does look beautiful. It's just that with these things, they come through, and it would have meant so much 100 years ago. But, he's passed away, and the mother's obviously passed away by now, and probably any of the family members that ever cared about that person.
I'm just almost in tears reading this. It is dated the 4th of June, 1917. And may I read this out?
Of course.
Mrs. Pearce, dear Madame, it is my very sad duty to have to write and tell you that your son, and then there's a number and a name, was killed in action this afternoon. I mean, what a heart-wrenching letter to have to write, and it's just the penmanship in this is just beautiful.
And considering it's written at the time, in a place that must have been horrendous, must have been going through terrible, terrible experience himself. We get these sorts of things through, and we just put them on our counter in the office, because really nobody's going to buy them. If we give them to the War Memorial, we do sometimes give things to the War Memorial, but sometimes we just hang on to things because we put them out there and show them to people, and people are interested in them. Yeah, it's funny when this stuff comes through, not everyone's interested in it, but it's something that I'm personally interested in. And Elaine, my business partner, we're always looking up these things.
Well, it's a form of social history, isn't it? It has.
Yes.
It's more meaningful, I think, when you read letters like this. You get an understanding of how Australia was affected by the Great War.
Yeah, and these are the ordinary people as well. They don't usually make it to the wars of the War Memorial.
Yes, Neil and his family lost 3 great uncles to the First World War, and I know it was tragic.
Yeah.
It was indeed. We've got some more, have we?
Yes, look, these are pretty interesting. If you look at them from over there, can you see what they're made of? It's a picture of an African lady with a baby on her back and a bowl on her head, but when you look closer, you'll see it's made of butterfly wings.
Wow. That is really unique.
Yeah, there's 2 of them, a little African butterfly wing picture. So we get stuff coming through that it's always new, We've been doing this a very long time. We were at Revolve 30 years ago, so we've seen a lot of things coming and going. Every day there's something that makes you go, wow, I've never seen that before. Or why would someone throw that away, that sort of thing.
Sandie, how did you get involved in recycling?
It was called recycling in the day, but Serina, we prefer to call it reuse. I prefer to make a difference between those 2 terms. Recycling is things like paper and glass and stuff you put in your yellow bin. It takes a lot of processing. It costs the taxpayer a lot of money to operate. Reuse, which is what we do, and it's called the reuse facility, costs nothing really apart from having the facility there. Very little processing, creates a lot of jobs. We have 76 people employed, and about 45 of them are full-time. And that's just from things like from income generated out of what people throw away. I've been doing this since 1988, when we opened Revolve at the Mugger Lane tip back then. It was called Recycling for Job Creation. It was a not-for-profit company. It was the first in the world, really.
First in the world in 1988.
Yes. There was other kind of second-hand shops, obviously. This one was situated at the tip, and we used to go up on the tip and dig through everything and pull things out and rescue them and bring them back to the yard to sell. We're not allowed to do that these days. These days we have to collect things from the public. They drop it off. And we just sort it out and put it out in the shop. Yeah.
Quite revolutionary back in the 1980s. I don't think people had as much awareness about the growing landfill problem then.
No, it was starting to. It was the green movement was starting, and people were becoming aware. It was started by a lady called Annie Kavanagh. She worked for Jobless Action, helping people find work. And she was throwing things away one day at the tip, and she saw all this useful stuff, and she saw that things were going to waste, people were going to waste, and she put the 2 together, lobbied the government, and the ACT government then had the foresight to start this up, and it's still going.
And still going strong. I love the Green Shed and what it's doing. I want to talk a little bit about the minimalist movement, which is really all the rage at the moment. The Marie Kondo documentary on Netflix saw many people going on a "it doesn't spark me joy" kind of adventure. And in some cases, op shops were closing their doors and they weren't accepting new things for a while. So how do you see this minimalist trend play out for your business?
Well, look, quite honestly, I think we've seen people dropping things off as increased over the 10 years. We've done a lot to engage the community. We've got a lot of big following on Facebook, and we kind of have seen it growing every year. It's only recently I heard the word Marie Kondo. I've never really looked her up or anything. I don't think it makes a huge difference to us, but I do think people are using her name to kind of think about cleaning out things, you know. People do turn up and give us things. I haven't noticed a big difference, that's all. I suspect that it isn't so huge, really. You know, I don't think it's affected a lot of people. I think people use it as an excuse just to get rid of stuff they wanted to get rid of in the first place. I can't see that there's much minimalism going on personally, but I hope so.
Well, it's interesting because I'm finding that many of my friends now are becoming a bit more minimalist.
Good to hear.
Which is good to hear. But because I'm on a project this year to give away at least 366 items with intention and hopefully more, I haven't done a tally recently, it's actually becoming harder and harder. Like I had a clothes swap here yesterday and I've still got 2 whole clothing racks of clothing and not all of those are mine. Like I always get so much that is given more than I give out. And I'm finding that's a trend. And when I ask people, they're like, oh no, I'm downsizing, I'm minimalising, I don't need any new clothes, I don't want any new clothes, I don't want any new stuff. I've made a pledge this year not to buy new stuff. So it's actually, I'm finding it's a challenge for me in terms of giving away things. But I wonder too how much of this movement is about privilege as well, that when you can invest in a nicer house or a nicer sort of storage spaces for your stuff, then suddenly this minimalism becomes practical and feasible.
Yes, yeah, maybe. And also I think some people feel like they've earned the right to go and buy something once they've given away enough. They have this feeling that they've done something really good. But I don't think it really carries on to like, okay, I'm actually going to manage with what I've got. I think many people, we get quite a lot of people bringing us stuff in our back door. Then they go around the front and buy things. And there's a big kind of circle of in and out going. And I think when I talk to people, it's like, okay, I've got rid of this. I'm going to go and buy something else. Now I've got room for something else, which they joke about, but I actually think it's true.
Well, I think it's probably true in my case a little bit. I have, Neil and I have like it's not quite a pocket money system, but we give each other a bit of money every fortnight. And if I don't go out for coffees or lunches, I spend it on whatever I like. And I love op shopping and secondhand shopping. And sometimes I do wonder, I think I'm getting more coming back in than I am actually giving out. So I'm probably just as much true of that trend that you're observing as anyone, even though I'm consciously trying not to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's hard not to sometimes when you're in that space.
I know. There's so much to buy. I walk around the shop. I actually have stopped myself buying stuff in the large, at the shop. But when I walk around our city shop and I see all those amazing things, I hold them and go, wow, that's really beautiful. And in the past, I probably would have gone, I think I'll buy that. But I'm happy enough just putting it down and haven't seen it. And then I come back in a couple of days and everything's changed because everything moves out of that shop so quickly. And I just have another look. And it's kind of like a museum. It's a museum where you can buy stuff. And I'm choosing to look on it as a museum where I can see things that I find really interesting.
It would be so tempting to take everything home. I can imagine. A lot of talk about the circular economy. Is this a happening thing?
I do think it is for sure. It's coming into policy across Australia. It's in policy in Europe, in places like France and Sweden. New South Wales are certainly bringing it in soon. Everybody in waste at local and federal level are talking about circular economy all the time. It's a good thing because it's dealing with the thinking about the end of life of all products. We've already got the product stewardship scheme in for electronics here. So when you buy a TV, there's a bit added on for it to be recycled at the end of its life. There are many more things that should happen to. I would say furniture would be one. Even here at the Green Shed, there's lots of charities in town. They get offered too much furniture. We get far too much furniture. We get offered around 80 lounge suites a week. And
80?
80, yeah. And we sell about 4. That's one of the things that I would like product stewardship to come into. Yeah, so with the circular economy, it's all about basically keeping the resources that are being used in making things, keeping them going for as long as possible. People like us, like the reuse centres, are a good place for people to offload their stuff and for those resources to be retained, really.
I think it's really important. I'm always frustrated when you've got an appliance and there's just something wrong with it and the whole thing has to be thrown out. We had something recently, a kitchen appliance, where just one small widgety bit broke, just one small bit. And we couldn't buy a replacement part. And when we asked the company, they just said, well, we'll ship you a whole new one. So the condition being that we had to cut the cord of the old one. And it was fine because we got a whole new appliance. But it was only really one little bit that broke.
Yeah, there is a whole repair movement going across the world, actually. Repair cafe movement. And in Canberra, it's fairly healthy at the Environment Centre. You can go there and there are people there that can help you repair things.
That's good to know. I'm not sure that they could have repaired this one. This one was a little bit specialist. But it's really good to know that you don't just throw things out. How much stuff is enough?
Well, I think all of us are guilty of having far too much, really. I think that Marie Kondo is correct in saying, if it doesn't bring you joy, then why have you got it? But also, we've all got things that hang in the wardrobe waiting for us to slim down or get them repaired and that sort of thing. Anything, I think, that you haven't used in a year, you really don't need. And from experience, I know that once you get rid of something, you don't miss it. Not for a second, really. But people have a problem actually parting from certain things. They get emotionally attached to things. And I think that is a bit problematic.
Things have memories, don't they? You remember the time you wore a dress to someone's wedding, or you're on a date, or a graduation for yourself or for a family member. And so you don't want to throw that out, even though you're 2 sizes up or down since when you wore it.
That's right. There are plenty of places you can go. There are museums and things. They're not personal items, but they bring back memories. There are shops, secondhand shops. You can window shop and get memories from things. Don't know about filling your cupboards full of stuff. The more I do this, the more I'm kind of frustrated that people are holding on to things when it's one of the least important things in your life, really,
So what are the important things?
Oh, I love family, experiences, not things. Not always things. Some things maybe, but not always things.
I think that's very profound, especially you're working in this space. You see it.
It's quite frightening. I'll just, an example is that every Christmas we'll get 4 or 5 items that are still wrapped. So we actually have to unwrap someone's Christmas present to put it out for sale in a second-hand shop. It's always stuff like candles and cups, and people know what's in them and don't want them. That's a sort of behaviour that we really don't need and is really damaging to the planet. It's just crazy. It's just craziness.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm not going to go on a Christmas vent, but one final question. Do you have a favourite Frugalista tip?
Well, I would just advise people not to buy so much stuff. Limit the money that you take out. Ask yourself whether you really want it. Don't buy things straight away. Go back the next day after some consideration if you see something you want. Just don't buy so much stuff.
To find out more about the Green Shed, you can connect with them on Facebook. And for those visiting Canberra or who live in Canberra, the Green Shed has 4 outlets in Mitchell, Mugger Lane, and 2 shops in Civic CBD. Their CBD one above ground, which is kind of like a vintage antique store, and the Green Shed underground. Thank you so much, Sandie.
Thank you.
chillin' and you will
You've been listening to The Joyful Frugalista with Serina Bird. She actually likes everybody. And of course, sound has been by Neil Hadley. And myself, I'm Joseph McGrail Baitup.
You gotta accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, don't mess with Mr. In Between.